It was one of those nights. You know, the nights where it is so quiet that you can hear a pin drop, and every little creak in your house sounds like an earthquake. That's how it was for Max. He was lying in bed listening to the silence when suddenly he heard a whistle. Woo-woo. Max opened his curtains just in time to see a beautiful train soaring through the night sky.
Ho, ho, ho!
Its carriages were made of clouds, and its wheels did touch the ground because this wasn't any ordinary train. It was the Moonlight Train, and it only ever visited children who were kind, brave, and believed in magic. And Max was all of those things. He quickly put on his favorite blue jacket, grabbed his cap, and raced outside. He waved at the train, but it wasn't stopping. So he did the only thing he could think of. Max closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and jumped.
Ho, ho, ho!
When he opened his eyes again, he found himself inside one of the train carriages. He sat down on a cloud-shaped cushion and realized that the windows were actually portholes to the sky. As the train soared above the clouds, Max could see everything from the twinkling stars to the pinks and purples of the sunset over the ocean. He had never been so high before. And then he heard the most wonderful sound, laughter. Giggles and hoots echoed through the carriage.
Ho, ho, ho!
And when Max turned to see what was happening, he saw two little owls wearing conductor hats, driving the train. "Hello," said one of the owls. "Welcome to the Moonlight Express." "I'm Max," he replied, still a bit shocked to find talking owls operating a magical train. "Don't be surprised," said the other owl. "On the Moonlight Train, anything can happen." And anything did happen. As they journeyed further, the train began to glow with a beautiful golden light.
Ho, ho, ho!
Suddenly, all the stars in the sky seemed to fall into step with the rhythm of the train. They blinked and twinkled in time with its whistle. "Wow," whispered Max, feeling a little bit scared. "What are we doing?" The owls hooted with laughter. "We're making the stars shine brighter," they said. "That's our job on the Moonlight Train." With all the stars shining brightly, Max could see everything much better. And what he saw next made him gasp.
Ho, ho, ho!
The wheels of the train weren't touching the ground. They were floating above the clouds on beams of moonlight. All around them, shooting stars streaked across the sky. They sparkled and swirled, leaving trails of stardust in their wake. Then Max noticed something else. Every time the train passed by a cloud, it left behind a shimmering rainbow. The rainbows arched over hills and valleys, sparkling jewels against the dark blue backdrop of the night sky.
Ho, ho, ho!
It was the most beautiful thing Max had ever seen. "How does the train make all these rainbows?" he asked. The owl pointed their wing towards a little girl sitting in the corner of the carriage. She was stirring a giant pot over a small fire, and the sweet smell of cookies filled the air. "That's Luna," said the owl. "She's our baker. And her moon cookies give us the power to make all these amazing things happen."
Ho, ho, ho!
Max wanted to help, so he offered to fetch some more ingredients from the kitchen car. There were all sorts of magical things in there. Boxes of ticking clockwork filled with gears and springs, bags of laughing crystals that jangled merrily when he shook them, and jars of twinkling dust that glittered like 1,000 tiny diamonds. But Max was most interested in the bag of rainbow sprinkles. They shimmered and sparkled in all the colors of the rainbow.
Ho, ho, ho!
"These look like fun," he said with a smile. So he sprinkled some of the magic onto the roof of the train. Immediately it began to shine with a beautiful golden light. Max spent the whole night playing with the magical ingredients, making the train sparkle and shine like a brand new star. And everywhere they went, They brought happiness to the creatures that lived in the night sky.
Ho, ho, ho!
First, they stopped at the cloud forest, where fluffy white clouds grew like trees and silver streams sparkled like waterfalls. A family of cloud bunnies were stuck on a small, thin cloud, and they were too scared to jump to the ground. So Max sprinkled some of the giggling crystal on them, and as they shook with laughter, their fear went away. Then he used the twinkling dust to build a bridge of light for them to hop on.
Ho, ho, ho!
They continued on to the Rainbow River, where water sparkled in every color of the rainbow. A little fish was stuck at the bottom of a waterfall and couldn't get to the surface. So Max sprinkled some of the clockwork magic on the water. The river began to tick-tock like a giant clock, and the current started to swirl faster and faster until the little fish was at the top of the waterfall. Then Max gave the fish a little nudge with his finger, and it swam happily away.
Ho, ho, ho!
All the creatures they helped cheered and waved as the train went by. But as the night wore on, the magical ingredients began to run out. Soon, the train wouldn't be able to bring joy to anyone else. And when that happened, Max knew it was time to go home. He waved goodbye to the owls, to Luna, and all the magical creatures they had met along the way. And when he woke up the next morning, he felt like he had dreamed the whole thing. He got out of bed and went to his window.
Ho, ho, ho!
The sun was shining brightly in the sky, and there was no sign of the train. But then he noticed something strange. All the rainbows in his room were now real. The walls were covered with arches of shimmering color, and they seemed to reach all the way to the ceiling. Max ran to his closet and pulled out his blue jacket and his cap. He put them on and walked outside. The first thing he noticed was the soft, sweet smell of cookies in the air.
Ho, ho, ho!
In the grass, he saw the most beautiful sight, a giant pot with wisps of smoke curling up from it. And beside the pot sat Luna, the little cat from the train, batting at a butterfly. "Did I dream the whole thing?" asked Max. "You didn't," said Luna. "You really did ride the Moonlight Train last night." "But why me?" asked Max. "Why did you choose me to come on the train?"
Ho, ho, ho!
"Because you have a kind heart," said Luna. "You're brave and you believe in magic. That's why you came on the Moonlight Train." Suddenly, Max understood. This wasn't just a magical adventure. It was a lesson. He had learned that believing in magic makes magic happen. He had shown kindness to strangers and had a big idea when he helped the creatures in the night sky. And because of that, the Moonlight Train had chosen him.
Ho, ho, ho!
He had been on an incredible adventure and helped make the world a better place. And that, thought Max, is the greatest magic of all. From that day on, Max never forgot his adventure on the Moonlight Train. Every night before bed, he would look up at the stars and remember the laughter of the owls, the twinkling of the lights, and the soft glow of the moon shining through his window.
Ho, ho, ho!
And sometimes, if he listened very carefully, he could hear the gentle chugging of a train and the whisper of the wind through the clouds, and he knew, just knew that if he looked out his window at just the right moment, he might see the Moonlight Train flying through the night sky, ready to take him on another magical adventure. The end.
Ho, ho, ho!